Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about the brand new record from Eluveitie Ategnatos out April 5th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 16 tracks and is 61 minutes in length. To me, this record is really a metal album, a heavy metal album, a melodic death metal album almost, with a lot of folk elements in it. That's what you're going to get from this album if I am to strip it down and put it in the simplest form possible. But there's a lot more to unpack from this record than just that. This album was very different from a listening perspective. It was very different from the structure that they chose to put this record together and how they presented the songs to the listener. There's a lot of things about this record that are just different, unique, and somehow interconnected and interweaved in a way that really comes across to the listener when you sit down and you listen to the album. The more I listened to the record, the more I felt that this album was really about two main topics. It really touches on a lot of different things, but to me there are two things that keep coming up almost on every single track, and that's the demise and the rebirth. And if you think about it, the demise and rebirth are interconnected. With every civilization that saw its demise, there was another civilization that saw its rebirth. So those two things are extremely interconnected, and they are interconnected throughout this record, throughout the storytelling of the lyrics on the record, but also how the music is presented to you and how the vocal tracks are laid down to the listener. So the way I look at it is very simple. The way they introduced the folk elements to the record and Fabienne's vocals, her absolutely angelic vocals, they brought the rebirth aspect out of the record. Kriegle's harsh vocals and the heavier side of the record were more about the doomsday, the demise, the end of times that has the other side of the record. So to me, this whole album is about those two aspects, and those two aspects are seen on every single element of the record. They're seen on the lyrics, they're seen in the music, they're seen in the vocal tracks and how the vocals are delivered. So they're permeated throughout the whole record. So the whole album is really about these two different things, but they didn't just talk about them. They really allowed them to permeate through all the different elements of their music, and even within the album structure, to really bring it to life, to really bring it to the forefront, to really make it seem palpable, more than just something you listen to, something that you connect to as far as the music is concerned. They really incorporated at every single level, on every single track, to really bring the most out of that dynamic that exists between doomsday, end of times, and then the rebirth that comes from it. I really love that. I really love that intricacy, that interweaving that they did with every single song, that allowed them to really use these two elements, these two very distinct but yet connected elements, to really bring the songs to life. Really, they did that with every single track on this album. I really love that. They also used narrators throughout the album. They come in and out of tracks. They also are used as intro to certain tracks, and they use two separate narrators, a male narrator and a female narrator. So even then, even in how they use the narrators, they really use two very distinctive voices that offer darkness and light, that offer the doomsday, the death, and the rebirth. At every single point of this record is all about those two things. It's all about those two conflicting movements, if you will, the end and the birth. So everything on this record revolves around that, and everything is to represent it, but not just to represent it, to really enhance it. I really like that. I really like the fact that they use these two narrators, because it also brought a different sense, a different style to the songs, and a different style and delivery to the lyrics. It felt that the whole album, when you sit down and you listen to it, I felt that I was sitting around a campfire listening to stories, listening to a story being told to me. Not only a story perhaps of a personal journey, of a personal experience, but a story that is meant to make me reflect about my life, about where I've been and where I'm going. So this whole album had that campfire atmosphere to it. It really blankets the whole record from the first song to the last song. It really gives you that sense of being around the campfire, listening to stories, personal stories, stories about other people, but stories at the end of the day that really reflect your life, your spirit, and your journey from where you've been to where you're going. This is what this record is all about. This is what you're gonna get as far as the inner workings of this album. Now, from a more musical side of things, I really like what they've done on this record. I like the heaviness that they brought to the forefront. This album is extremely heavy, and I like how they incorporated those folk elements. And more important, I like how they incorporated the folk elements, but they didn't overuse them. For example, the hurdy-gurdy. They didn't use them on every single track. They didn't overuse it. So by not overusing the elements, by really using them sporadically in tracks, and by really mixing the type of elements, the type of folk elements that they wanted on each single track, they allowed the songs to not feel exactly the same, to not have the same structure, to not have the same vibe, to not have the same sound. So every single song is very unique. Some are heavier, some are more melodic, more stripped down, but they all come at the right time. They all come in a very perfect, fluid order. This album has extreme fluidity to it. The songs really blend with each other. You really feel a sense of continuation as you're listening to the record. If once you get really into it and really you dive deep into this album, you almost lose track of what song is which. Are you listening to the second song? Are you listening to the fourth? You completely lose track of yourself on the record because of the way of the structure of the record is laid out. The songs really blend into each other. The end of one song bleeds into the start of the next song. And so the songs really give you a sense of continuation. There's a sense of progress. There's a sense of a path that you started and you want to finish that path, and you're on it. You're on that journey. So that allows you to lose yourself in the atmosphere, the overall atmosphere of the record, but also in the listening experience of the record, because you just are continuously going from song to song without even realizing that one song ended, and that ending is the beginning of the next one, and then that one ends, and that one is the beginning of the next one. The fluidity of this record is absolutely incredible. There are no peaks and valleys. The album is not like heavier at the beginning, melodic in the middle, and then heavier at the end. The album is so well structured, so well put together. If you think of a storytelling, if you think of a movie, of a book, there are peaks and valleys within that movie. There are scenes that are more fast tempo, higher octane. There are more character building scenes that are more melodic, more stripped down. And this record pretty much plays that way. It plays like a book, it plays like a movie, it plays like a story. So obviously you're going to have songs that are higher tempo, faster tempos, and you're going to get songs that are more character building, that have a lot slower tempos, a lot more melodic tempos. But the way they were structured together, the way they were put together, they all flow perfectly with each other. So there's not this sense of a slowdown. You never feel like the record is taking a break, like the record is slowing down for you. You always feel like you're into that story and that you're engaged with that story. So even the songs that are perhaps a little bit slower, that are more melodic, more stripped down, they still have enough elements in them to keep you engaged and to keep you feeling like you're moving and not stopping, that you're moving. Perhaps not moving at a faster pace or as fast as previous songs, but you're still moving. One last thing I want to say about the overall record is both vocalists, Fabienne and Krigl, absolutely incredible. I love what these guys did on the record. Her voice is angelic. Her voice is the light. Like I said before, her voice is the rebirth. His voice is the doomsday. It's the darkness. It's the death. It's the end. And how they incorporated the two of them on the record, how they chose when to bring one and take the other away, and how they incorporate them both on the same tracks, absolutely incredible. This record is so well put together, so well mixed, so well balanced, so well structured. Absolutely incredible album from beginning to end. I absolutely loved it. Now, as far as favorite songs, I'm going to start with Deathwalker. This song really blends the folk elements with the heavier side of the band. This song really reflects that blend and really reflects the overall record. It has the perfect touches of both sides. It never gets super heavy and it never gets overwhelming melodic or folky. It really walks that fine line between those two elements. It really keeps those two elements in check and in balance and really matches them extremely well. Krigl's harsh vocals really adds a certain darkness to it. And when you get to the chorus and you have his harsh vocals in the chorus, and you get Fabien's clean angelic vocals as a backtrack, if you will, behind his vocals, it really creates a beautiful dynamic, because you have his harsh vocals in the forefront and you hear her voice almost like a choir in the background, absolutely angelic. It really elevates the song, and it really shows you how well they match those two styles, how well they blend the folk element that the band has on this record with the heavier side, and they really blended them well. And in this song, not only musically they blended them well, they blended them well vocally as well. This song also uses the narrators. They come in, both of them, the female and the male narrator, they come in two separate times, and even in that, it really gives you the sense of the doomsday of the end and of the rebirth. To me, this song really encapsulates the whole overall theme, vibe, mood, atmosphere of the record, as far as that dynamic between darkness and light, because you get both styles musically really having that darkness and light in it. You get that from the two vocalists on the same track, and then you also get that from the two narrators. Absolutely incredibly put together track that really incorporates all of these moving parts in order to make a song that really establishes that fine line between darkness and light. Another song that I have to mention to you guys is Worship, and this one, not for anything, I had to mention this one because it features Randy Blythe from Lamb of God on guest vocals. This song also starts with a narrator, and now this may fool you, because the narrator starts off the song talking about demons, and it really has this very dark, slow tempo to it. Now, don't let that fool you. This is one of the heavier, faster tempo songs on the record. That is just the intro. You get that narrator intro at the beginning, but once the song picks up, it really picks up. This is one of the heavier tracks on the album. And then you have two different styles of harsh vocals going at it. You have Randy Blythe and you have Kriegel. Two very distinctive styles, but they really work well together on this track. And those two elements alone give this song a lot of heaviness. This song really has a strong, heavy, atmospheric element to it. And it's not just coming from the music, it's not just coming from the drums, it's not just coming from the absolutely majestic guitars that this album has throughout. I really love the guitar work on this record. But when you mix these two very distinctive vocal styles with two very distinctive harsh vocal styles, it really gives the song a little bit of more heaviness. It is really a song that's just heavy from the beginning to the end. It has a little bit of a change when it comes to the verses versus the chorus, but it's a song that's very dynamic. It really feels like it's pulling you in 100 different directions. You never really feel comfortable in this track. You never really feel like you're going on one single path. This is a song that has a very dynamic structure. It really changes where it's going. It changes its timings. It changes the way it's approached. It's not your typical versus chorus kind of song. It really changes throughout. It's a very fluid song, but heavy song. Last but not least, Threefold Death. This is a very different song from the previous two. Fabien's vocals at the start are absolutely angelic. I really love what they did with this song. They started off the song with her voice, her singing, very angelic, very light, very rebirth, if you will. It just elevates the song to a complete new level. And then they have these blasts of heaviness coming in from the guitars and drums. Just really blasts. They come in and they go away. They come in and they go away. During her singing, because her singing is during almost an acoustic part, there's almost a stripped down effect around the start of the song when she's singing. And every time her voice comes in, because she comes in throughout the track as the chorus of the song, and every time she comes in, it's this burst of light coming into a room filled with darkness. That's how this song feels like. So you have the song that starts out with that light, but then it gets overshadowed by the heaviness, by the darkness that the song has, from a music side of things, but also from the harsh vocal side of things. It really comes in with darkness that overshadows that light. But her voice, every so often when that chorus kicks in, it comes in as bursts of light that just fill in the room, and then you have that acoustic vibe all around her voice that really strips down the song. So this is the song that really blends that light and dark as well, and it really gives you in verse. You really feel like you're starting the song with light, and then you get pulled into the darkness, and then when her voice comes in, it just brings light again to the room, but just for a very short period of time before darkness overtakes it and the song becomes heavier again, and with the harsh vocals and everything else. But this is a song that really offers a very good blend of melody and aggression, of light and darkness, of beauty and death. To me, that's what this song is all about, and that is represented in how they structure the song, with her voice as the light, the harsh vocals as the darkness, and then those blasts of heaviness coming in and out when she's singing. That really represents that darkness overtaking the light. Absolutely love this record. Eluveitie, Ategnatos. This album is absolutely magnificent. The way it's put together, the way it's structured, the way it sounds, how heavy it is, and how they blended the elements of death, life, light, darkness, and rebirth. All of these are represented through the music, lyrics, and vocal tracks. Absolutely amazing. Let me know your thoughts on the band, the album, in the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.